This is the day one recap for the trial against Lindsay Clancy, who took the lives of her three children on January 24th, 2023. Those children were 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. Lindsay is not denying that she took their lives, but instead, the jury will have to decide if she was legally insane when she did so. The opening statements today truly mirrored the two opposing sides of public opinion that we have heard since this case first started. The Commonwealth argued that Lindsay was struggling with mental health, but she was not psychotic or disconnected from reality when she took her children's lives. Instead, they say that this was calculated, premeditated, and a quote, selfish act. They say that Lindsay sent Patrick out, timed how long it would take, and then used that time to carry out her detailed plan. Their position is that Lindsay knew what she was doing was wrong, but she chose to do it anyway. The defense painted a very different picture. Attorney Kevin Reddington walked jurors through months of worsening postpartum mental illness, calls for help, thoughts of self-harm, changing prescriptions and medical providers, and a hospitalization just shortly before this happened. Their position is that Lindsay was struggling with postpartum psychosis, was disconnected from reality, and was not criminally responsible for what happened that day. The only witness we heard from today was Patrick Clancy, who was the husband of Lindsay Clancy and the father of the three children at the center of this case. He said that after Lindsay gave birth to their youngest child, Callan, she was approved for 18 weeks of maternity leave, but she would never wind up returning to work. He said that in August of 2022, Lindsay started expressing anxiety about going back to work. She wanted to return, but she told him that it felt unnatural to be separated from her baby. Patrick also said that the first time Lindsay mentioned medication was on September 17, 2022. He said that on that day, Lindsay said that she was thinking about getting a prescription for Zoloft, and he said that she did ultimately get that prescription from Dr. Jennifer Tufts. The Commonwealth asked Patrick if he was aware that Lindsay had actually gotten a prescription for Zoloft on September 16, 2022, so one day prior to her bringing up Zoloft with Patrick. He confirmed that he did later become aware of this, that she got that prescription on September 16th, but he did not think that she had started taking it yet. He said that by the end of October, her issues were getting worse. She was more depressed, she was having issues with sleeping, and because of those issues she was having with sleeping, she asked Patrick to sleep in the basement with a baby monitor while she would sleep with Callan. The goal for her was that if the two older kids, Cora and Dawson, needed something during the night, Patrick could tend to them so that she could hopefully get more sleep and feel better. Patrick said that this lasted for about 2 days before they switched and Lindsay started sleeping in the basement. That happened for about 2 weeks, but her issues with sleeping continued. Patrick said that Lindsay's issues just got worse and worse between October to December 2022. And by the end of November, Lindsay decided to switch providers because they didn't feel that the treatment from Dr. Jennifer Tufts was really working. So Patrick's mother suggested a perinatal psychiatrist. Patrick's mother worked in labor and delivery. Lindsay started seeing that perinatal psychiatrist, Julie Paul, at South Shore Hospital, but only 4 or 5 days later, Paul left the practice, so then Lindsay started seeing a nurse practitioner, Rebecca Gelada. Commonwealth asked Patrick if he was aware that while Lindsay was seeing that nurse practitioner, she was also seeing and having therapy sessions with the licensed social worker Letitia Dukes. Patrick said that he was not aware of those therapy sessions and did not recall that name. Lindsay was being prescribed multiple medications. Some of those medications had been gathered by police from the house on January 24, 2023. Other medications were provided to police from Patrick Clancy. The nurse practitioner had told him that the police could dispose of those medications. Now, the medications that Patrick gave to police, those were given as an exhibit today in court by the Commonwealth. They read off the names of the prescriptions and how many pills were missing from each bottle, seeming to insinuate that Lindsay was not taking them as prescribed. There was Zoloft with only 7 pills missing, Ativan with only 6 pills missing, Buspar with 2 pills missing, hydroxynine with 3 pills missing, another bottle of Buspar with no pills missing, and trazodone with 7.5 pills missing. Next, I'm going to walk you through some hospitalizations and symptoms that Lindsay had from November 2022 through January 2023, but I do also want to point out that the Commonwealth put in multiple exhibits showing that Lindsay was taking part in activities with her family during that same time frame. They went to a museum of science, they went to a water park, and they went to Thanksgiving celebrations with both of their families. So she was taking part in family life, but all the while, these other things were happening. On November 16th, 2022, Lindsay took herself to South Shore Hospital saying that she had not slept for 48 hours and she was having heart palpitations. The Commonwealth asked Patrick if he was aware that she had taken a THC gummy that day, and he said that he wasn't. There was a lot that happened in December 2022 that Patrick testified to, so I want to summarize just a few of those things. This is when he said there was a downward spiral after Lindsay had been prescribed Seroquel. He said that she lost weight, she became more severely depressed, and she was really struggling. He said December was the first time Lindsay ever mentioned thoughts of harming herself, but she didn't have a plan of action. He also says that December is when she talked about intrusive thoughts regarding harming the kids, but the way he presented it was more like something may happen to the kids. She, again, had no plans, concrete plans, to hurt the children or herself. Patrick wanted to support her, so he checked in with her. He let Lindsay's mom know about these thoughts, and he asked her, "Should I keep the children away from you?" But she said no. On December 15th, 2022, Patrick took Lindsay to the emergency department because she was having thoughts of hurting herself. One doctor was in favor of inpatient treatment, but two other doctors suggested a day program that was geared towards postpartum. Lindsay went to that program, but after the first day, the provider said it wasn't a fit and they sent her home. On December 31st, 2022, Lindsay was back in this same hospital because of the same thoughts. Patrick said by this point he felt that it was time for Lindsay to be taken to inpatient care. He said they had not been given a diagnosis and he was desperate for a full evaluation and a path forward. Lindsay was transferred to McLean Hospital for inpatient care on January 1st, 2023. Patrick said that she was there for 5 days and he visited her 2 or 3 times during that period. He felt that she wasn't really getting treatment, and he said that she didn't see a doctor for the first 3 days. The Commonwealth disagreed, and they said that Lindsay saw a resident doctor on the first and second day, an attending doctor on the third day, and a licensed social worker every day, and she participated in group therapy sessions every day, but she declined to take part in some of those sessions. Lindsay was discharged from inpatient care on January 6th, and she had requested that. She wanted to attend Cora's birthday party on January 7th. Patrick testified that he was unaware that it was Lindsay who requested to be let out. Patrick confirmed that party happened on January 7th, and it was organized by him and Lindsay, with Lindsay picking up most of the supplies. He said that from January 7th to January 23rd, he checked in on Lindsay every day. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And Lindsay did not report having any thoughts about hurting herself or the children. He actually went to brunch with friends on January 14th. Lindsay had encouraged him to do this, and she stayed home with the kids. There were no issues. And then on January 16th, he took Cora skiing, leaving Lindsay home with Dawson and Callan. There were again no issues, so he had hope. Lindsay picked up Cora and Dawson from school on January 23rd. Cora had a stomach ache, but she had an appointment the next day where Lindsay was going to ask about it. Patrick had just started testifying about January 24th, 2023, when court was ended for the day. He was working from home, there were no concerns, no talk of dark thoughts, and it was one of the best days they had had for a while. Lindsay texted him at 4:53 p.m. about picking up takeout food. Before he left, he held Callan, he kissed Cora. Dawson was on the couch eating chicken nuggets, and right before he walked out of the door, Lindsay was in the doorway holding Callan. There will be no court tomorrow, and testimony will pick back up on Wednesday, July 29th. I'll be back with another recap after that, but until then, let me know your thoughts so far after day 1. And most importantly, rest in peace to Cora, Dawson, and Callan.